We are now in our final week in talking about the restoration of the soul. We have said that the soul is something that is in us that we do not talk about a lot. In fact, nobody really talks about it. This is the first time I've ever preached on a whole series of the soul. It's referred to a lot, but we don't actually know what it is often. Probably till someone did a series on it like this. The soul is tiny, it's vulnerable, and we are actually in charge of our souls. We have said that it's made up of the will, which is very limited. Our wills are so limited. The mind, which helps the will to be more in its capacity, right, to do more things. And then the body, which is the power pack for the will and the mind and all of those things. Our soul has experiences. It's experienced the chaos of the world. And like Mr. Rogers, the soul likes to go slow. In fact, our souls thrive when things go slow. You can see why our souls are so broken in our current fast-paced society. I have noticed, I've been living here for, I think, 13 years in Pittsburgh, and New Jersey is very fast-paced. And when I first moved here, Pittsburgh was very slow. And now I've noticed in 13 years that Pittsburgh is very fast-paced. In 13 years, it's gotten more fast-paced of a community and the way culture is here. We have said that Jesus is the one who can give our souls rest, that his ways or his yoke is easy when the world expects so much out of us. We are called to rest in Jesus, and that is good for our souls. Last week I talked about the soul's freedom, that we think that we're actually free. However, we are held captive by all the things that we throw into our lives and we put on our plates. They hold us captive. And the only one that can truly give us freedom and when we rest in Jesus. Today I am saving the most important one for last. Because if you can figure out this one, then it makes everything else easier to obtain. If you change this one thing, then all that I've said about the soul in this entire series will actually become more reachable. The thing we are after today is gratitude. Our passage today comes from the missionary Paul in his letter to the Colossians. He wrote this letter sitting in a jail cell, ready to die. And here is the words that he says in Colossians 3, chapter 3, verses 15 through 17. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, since as members of one body you were called to peace, and be thankful. Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly as you teach and admonish one another with all wisdom, and as you sing psalms, hymns, spiritual songs with gratitude in your hearts to God. And whatever you do, whether in word or deed, do it all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him. When I think of people who are gracious people, I often think about two generations before me. My grandparents and people who are known as the greatest generation. I feel like a lot can be learned by two generations before me. They had very little compared to most people in our current society, in our current culture. My generation in general has a lot of things, right? That generation knew Great Depressions. They knew poverty. They knew pandemics as well. They knew wars. They knew drafts. They even knew mental illnesses and PTSD from those wars and those depressions and things like that. Yet when I sat with anybody from that generation, in my experience, whether it was my grandparents or people that I often visit in hospitals through the years, I've been doing this for a while, the thing that always stood out about me in my conversations with them is something that I don't see often, is that they are always so grateful for the life that they got to live. And think about all the things that I rattled off, things that they experienced, yet they were still thankful for all that they experienced in life. To have health, to have a roof, to have a family, and most of them would say they were all grateful that God made all of that possible. All from that generation. Could it be that the secret ingredient that all of our souls have been missing could be found in 2 or 3 generations before me? The secret ingredient is gratitude. Our passage today is from Paul. And if you know anything about Paul's life, he gave up a high position as a Jewish official. He was in charge of a lot. He was given a lot. He had money. He had all of this power and honor. And he left that powerful position to go follow Jesus' call to go travel all around and set up churches. Paul built and built as in gathered people and built up people to lead these churches. And he built it all across Asia, the Middle East, Europe. He did 4 trips on foot, on boat, all of these things. Paul went around and just set up churches. He was brilliant at it. And then he wrote letters to the different churches, teaching them things as he went on his journeys. But when he goes through this, he was in a jail cell. He was dragged, he was beaten, he was tortured, and he kept spreading the love of Jesus, even to the people that were beating him and torturing him. And then he writes these words while that time of being tortured and everything. Be thankful. Teach, talk, sing psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, all with gratitude in your heart. The man is being beaten and saying, be gracious for it. Crazy, right? He's literally saying, put on a gratitude hat and bring it around with you wherever you go, no matter your circumstance. Paul knew the secret ingredient for the soul, and it was gratitude. Paul had every reason to be mad, to say life didn't work out the way I wanted it to. I should be building more churches, and they should be celebrating me. But no, he was in a jail. And yet he's still putting on the gratitude hat and saying, do this in all that you do, and that's what's good for the soul. Could it be that gratitude changes how we look at everything in our lives? Because it's a secret ingredient. And if we're going to have a restoration of the soul, gratitude is exactly where we need to start with and where we need to end with. And now, gratitude never comes in acquiring more things or even acquiring more experiences. Gratitude only comes when we have an awareness of God's presence and His goodness, that His goodness is all around us. It's a way to look at life, perceiving only the good that God gives. John Ortberg, who I used a lot in this series, used a Latin word broken down to explain gratitude. If you're good at parsing words and you're good at English language and all of that stuff, you'll like this. Otherwise, you might not. Anyway, so the word bene, B-E-N-E, is a word, it's a Latin word that means good, all right? So let's take a look at different ways it was used and different words that bene is used for words that we have. We have benefit, right? In order to be grateful, you first have to believe that the gift that you are receiving is good. It's a benefit. It's good, right? So that it's a benefit. The Bible says, "Praise the Lord, all my soul, and forget not all his benefits, who forgives your sins and heals you." You have to remember that God and that we get benefits from God. So we first start with benefits, right? Now, the next one, benefactor, all right? So let's try to think in your brain what benefactor is, all right? So let's break it apart, all right? Bene means good. Factor comes from the word factory. A good factory. It's the one who creates the good. The benefactor is the one who's doing all the good, who's creating the good situations. We benefit because of the benefactor, which is God. God creates good. He's literally a good factory, and he produces things for us that is good. And our souls respond with gratitude because of the benefactor who keeps making good that we get to live in. The next word is beneficiary, and that's you and me. Beneficiary is the one who receives the good, right? We're a beneficiary. So this is the one we often mess up, okay? We believe that many good things that come to us came because we earned those. We worked so hard for that. We earned that. We get to have that because we worked so hard. When we believe that we are entitled because of our work efforts or our knowledge, it is the exact time that our souls suffer the most. If we say, "I earned this," then your soul suffers. Because then you forget who the benefactor is, who makes all the goodness. A healthy soul is one that lives in gratitude. Now, how does one go about training to live that kind of life? It's not exactly easy. And I'll tell you this, I know a lot of you know that I like to run. I stupidly last year decided during the fall that I was going to run a half marathon, and I was going to run it as fast as I possibly can. And I was racing after nobody else. It was just me. So what I did was I hurt my knee pretty bad, and I had to go to physical therapy. And what they told me is that I've been running wrong my entire life. So I had to relearn how to run. That is not easy to do, relearn how to run, or even relearn how to walk, they told me. And it was not easy to do. I probably still do it wrong. Anyway, relearning how to be gracious is not as hard as relearning how to walk. Because we just have to look at all the goodness and see it. I have to admit, Sundays are always really good. I like it is a day of work for me, and I love my job. I love what I do. So it's not hard to ever come here, but last Sunday was a really good day. And the reason it was good, I had confirmation class with the kids and that are coming to become members, and we had a really good class, and so I was already on a high from that one. Then we had worship, which went really well, and then after that, we had a new members class. And this one class, we usually do 2 for our new members class, and the second one is where people come together with the elders and they tell their story of how they got to this church. And that was awesome. And it's my favorite thing that I do here every time that we do new members, because I hear of God's story coming together with an individual's story, and then Riverdale's story coming together, and we see the benefactor at work, the God who makes all that is good and the benefits that he's giving and the beneficiaries. That is really, really good. When you hear stories like those, you can't help to understand that all the benefits that are given by God come from the benefactor, which is God. We are the beneficiaries of all that is good. And for that, you can't help but to be grateful to God for that. As we look to restore our souls, let us first look to the one that's able to restore us. When we lay it all at his feet, we can't help but feel a sense of gratitude for all that he does for us. Let us pray. Lord God, we thank you so much. You give us so much. Help us to understand the secret ingredient to our souls is gratitude. If we could live like that all the time, Lord, our souls can be healed. Help us to see it and help us to restore our souls. It's in your glorious name. Amen. We are so blessed because of the benefactor who gives us so much good. And so we return the goodness through our tithes and offering. You can give through the black boxes we have in the back. You can sign up through our e-give, which is on our website, or you can send it into the church.